Anita Madam, Dr. Najimani, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Colonel Professor Ujjwala Chakradev. I am so proud of her rank in the army. The regular army officers will have to write retired after the retirement service, but Madam, you will continue writing Colonel. Professor Sujata Bhan, Madam Chandra, distinguished speakers from across countries, my mentors like Madam Mukhopadhyay and all luminaries and people from across the world, and especially my dear students from this prestigious university. It is a privilege for me to be among you and speaking in front of you, and it's really a humbling experience for me. Thank you, Madam, and the two foundations for supporting and giving me this opportunity. I have just 6 minutes to speak on government initiatives on inclusion of marginalized, including those with disabilities. The task is huge, but what I am going to do is leave a lot of things for you to ponder on and see what this kind of international conference, this set of influential people can bring change in the lives of nearly 70% of the children with disabilities in our country who live in very remote rural areas, small towns. I give you here a few data. I'm going to talk half full, a glass half full, and fill the half empty. That is what I expect and I believe will happen. Government introduced the Integrated Education for Disabled Children scheme in 1974. Then many of you may not have gone. Then we had a flagship program of SSA in 2000, which specifically made provision for children with disabilities or children with special needs for inclusion, for integration in mainstream schools. 1995 saw the first disability-specific rights legislation in our country that provided for free education for children with disabilities up to the age of 18 years in appropriate environment. It is for you educationists to decide what appropriate environment is and should be and what the status is. In 2002, our Parliament amended the Constitution and inserted Article 21A to make free and compulsory education to all children of 6 to 14 years a fundamental right. Fundamental right. A justiciable right. If not given, you can take the people, the governments to court. Government enacted the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, which provides for how this fundamental right will be implemented for every child in our country. And children with disabilities are covered up to the age of 18 years in this legislation as well. This is a law of my country. The landmark legislation in our country, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, mandates that, I'm using the word mandate, it is mandatory. If you can't do, there is a provision for penalty. That every child with benchmark disability, that is 40% disability or more, between the age of 6 to 18 years, shall have the right to free education in a neighborhood school. Neighborhood school is defined in RDE. Or in a special school as per his choice. The choice is given to the child where the child can be educated. The idea is where the child can get the best quality education. Recognizing that large disparities still exist in our country, despite all these initiatives of the government, legislative, policy, schemes, which include scholarships, free books, uniforms, midday meals, etc., particularly for socio-economically disadvantaged groups. The huge socio-economically disadvantaged group do not constitute only persons with disabilities, but huge, say women, transgenders, people coming from areas which are very remote, a village like mine, right, where all schemes and policies are implemented to the maximum through additional concerted efforts. And these areas should be declared, that is what the recommendation is, special education zones. The Government of India will also constitute a gender inclusion fund to build nation's capacity to provide equitable quality education. Equitable quality education for all girls as well as transgender students. The policy also emphasizes on creating enabling mechanisms for providing children with special needs the same opportunities, please, same opportunities of obtaining quality education as any other child. We have Samagra Shiksha now, a very overarching scheme of Government of India for school education designed to achieve inclusive and high quality education from pre-primary to senior secondary in alignment with SDG for education. Now, let's see what the status is, challenges and the way forward. I don't know whether I'll be able to finish in 6 minutes. The rural population of India forms 68.84%, which works out to nearly 964 million people from outside countries. 964 million of the 140 crore people of my country. 70% of the 27 million persons with disabilities, that is 18.9 million, lived in rural areas in 2011. I don't know how many more today. The scheduled castes and scheduled tribes comprise about 25.5%. So add up, what is the percentage of people who need really focused attention? In 2011, this is very important to note because we're talking about the people who are disadvantaged and people, children with disabilities. 20% to 54% of the children with varied disabilities, from intellectual and development disability, deafblind to other disabilities, had never been to school as compared to 17.2% of the rest of the children of age 5 to 19. This meant 38 crore children didn't go to school. It is no doubt a humongous task to enable such a huge number of children to go to school and ensure that they get quality education. But please never forget that it is their fundamental right. We have amended our constitution to make it a fundamental right. So it's possible and will have to be done by the authorities, and we need to demand. Now, coming to Rehabilitation Council of India, of which I was also member, Secretary and Chairperson, Madam Mukhopadhyay of RCI is sitting here, who had been the RCI has special education courses in 6 specialties, means we need 6 special educators to teach all our children with disabilities, different disabilities. Visual impairment, hearing impairment, intellectual and developmental disabilities, multiple disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, and learning disabilities. But we do not have, it's a fact, enough special education teachers of these 6 specialties for all the schools, all the areas, all the geographies. The modalities are also not in place, because when I asked the authorities, the state commissioner, tell me, what is the teacher pupil ratio for different disabilities in the schools? All the experts told me this should be there, but then there was no notification. Now we have. Why? After I passed an order as State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities in Delhi, and asked central government also to come up with the ratio, to come up with the modalities. How will you ensure equitable, quality inclusive education to children with varied disabilities? Ministry of Education has come up with the pupil-teacher ratio in mainstream schools. But personally, I'm not very happy with this. We need to advocate. It is in the primary up to 6, it is 1 to 10, whereas in National Institution for the Blind, where we teach children with deafblind and other multi-disabilities, we have to often provide 1 teacher for 1 student. So that we need to do a lot of work. A few data about the budget, the central government. From 2014 to 15 to 24, 25, 10 years, Department of School Education, Government of India has increased its budget by 32.46%. It's an annual growth of 3.5%. But percentage of total budget estimate, it has reduced. I won't tell the percentage, please Google it. So we need to increase the budget as we become Viksit Bharat. As we move forward, we also need to ensure that the percentage of budget allocated to education, particularly the school education, increases much more than other sectors. Opportunities for quality education to this huge mass of children with disabilities and disadvantaged groups are very few and far between. This deprives them of promised quality education. Its consequences that the vicious cycle will not break for them soon enough unless we take very, very quick action. Hence, it is a wake-up call for all of us, all the stakeholders, especially the parents, the educators, and the right holders, to stand up and challenge the status quo. Don't be satisfied what you have. Ask for, demand what is not there, what is missing. The law is on our side, mind you. Keep always this in mind. Hence, it is very much doable and possible. Provided we do the right advocacy, we do the aggressive advocacy, it's possible, it's implementable. Finally, I am very positive about things happening. Since 2002, I see a lot is happening, but a lot more need to make happen. It will not happen on its own. We have to make it happen. Thank you. Jai Hind. God bless you.